In 2006, University of Arizona astronomer Roger Angel suggested a rather radical solution to global warming. His idea was to launch a $1 trillion light diffuser into space to deflect some of the sun's rays from the Earth. The proposal was published in the prestigious journal The Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, and at the time it caught the imagination of a number of us who were intrigued by such an audacious approach to planetary engineering. Angel proposed to send billions of small transparent flyers into space to create a cloud at the Lagrange point between the Sun and the Earth, that point where the gravitational pull of each body just balances out, allowing the flyers to seemingly hover effortlessly between the two. These would deflect just enough sunlight from hitting the Earth that the cloud would act as a massive solar shade, countering the effects of greenhouse gas-driven global warming. Angel's idea was part of a growing interest in using planetary scale engineering to manage the effects of human-caused climate change. Commonly called geoengineering, it's an approach to controlling the Earth's climate that, to some at least, has become increasingly relevant as efforts to curb carbon dioxide emissions have run into rough water. Yet despite the urgency with which we need to get a grip on our collective environmental impacts, geoengineering represents technologies and ideologies that are fraught with challenges. I first started writing about geoengineering back in 2009. At the time, I was fascinated by the audacity of the ideas being discussed, most of which I must confess were more mundane than throwing billions of sunshades into space. But I was also intrigued by the ethical and social issues they raised. I'd been following the technology before this, but what sparked my interest in 2009 was the controversy around a particular experiment planned to take place in the Southern Ocean. The experiment was given the admittedly not so catchy name LOHAFEX, and it was designed to see if algal blooms could be used to remove carbon dioxide from the air. The plan was to release 6 tons of dissolved iron over 300 square miles of ocean in an attempt to feed and stimulate an algal bloom which would remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere before sinking to the bottom of the ocean. But even before the research started, it drew criticism from environmental groups. As one of the largest geoengineering trials to date at the time, they were concerned that it represented unnecessary and even unethical direct experimentation on the only environment we have. Despite the low chances of LOHAFEX having any lasting impact, these concerns put the study on hold until the funders were certain that the risks were minimal. As it turned out, the experiment, when it eventually took place, showed that ocean fertilization with iron had a small and unpredictable impact on atmospheric carbon dioxide. This was a useful finding as it indicated the limitations of this one potential approach to carbon dioxide removal, but it also demonstrated what a contentious issue geoengineering was at the time. Even today, the ethics and responsibility of geoengineering are hotly contested. On one hand, this isn't surprising. We only have one environment to experiment with, and so we can't afford too many whoops moments. There's no convenient drawing board to go back to when global experiment A goes wrong. But in addition to the albeit low in most cases risks, there's another concern that dogs geoengineering, and that's the underlying ideology.